Okay, well, welcome. This is going to be fun. For those of you who haven't been in here, this is the Advanced Visualization Studio for USF. Excuse me, for USF. The screen behind me is about 79 million pixels. So when you say you've got a 4 megabyte or 4K screen, this is a little bit more than that, real high resolution. So we probably aren't going to really maximize the potential of the screen today with our slideshows, but it is going to be pretty cool. There we go. So what we are doing as a part of our engagement, as a part of the honors class, we're really taking advantage of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So we've got 3 projects. Here you see the Honors College down in the bottom right-hand corner of the pictures. The sand pile in the middle is the Student Wellness Clinic. And this funny thing that you actually see the fans and everything there, that is our Southeast Chiller plant. Harry and Don are going to be talking about that a little bit earlier because we are upgrading that in order to fulfill the need for the project. And then off to the left, in about 8 days, we're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony for the indoor practice facility for the football team and intercollegiate athletics. Oh, it's really going to be a lot of fun. So we've got 5 speakers with you today. It's going to go pretty quickly. They're going to hit really in depth about a bunch of characteristics about these 4 projects. And then what we're going to do over the next 3 semesters is dive a little bit deeper into these particular projects on sessions like this. And when you do your site tours, you'll not only have the opportunity to see the Honors College right up here in the top left, but also the indoor athletic facility and the wellness center and the chiller plant. So those are a lot of fun. So we've got a number of ways that you can engage while you're not here. And what we'll do is we'll post this and we'll share this presentation with you guys later, so you don't need to write all down the websites and stuff like that. But each one of these projects will have a webcam. And you've got a view like this that you can look in and you can watch the construction going on day by day. You can share it with your family, your friends, and stuff like that. We'll have one for the Wellness Center. They were trying to get it up for us today, but they just didn't quite get there, but it'll be up in a couple days. Also, we've got a cool new technology. It's just about 2 years old. It's kind of like Google Maps, but for construction sites. So you see this orange circle down here. So one technology uses an orange circle. Another technology that we use uses a blue circle. We tried to get them to change to green and gold, but we're stuck with blue and orange. Anyway, so if you click on the different circles, you can walk through the construction site. You can move your view 360 degrees and actually watch the construction going on. This is really, I get goosebumps when I talk about stuff like this, but this is really cool. And they're doing a lot with artificial intelligence, looking at how much of the project has actually been done. Some really neat things there too. Also, each one of the sites will have a viewing platform. So it's an area where we're actually opening up the fence, providing an opportunity for you to look at the construction site, come in, observe it, watch it as it's going up. You may even have a construction worker or a superintendent come up to you if you've got any questions or anything like that. We're trying to teach them how to engage politely with the students and actually answer some of your questions, see what's going on. So the webcams, the 360-degree views, the viewing platforms, they're available to you anytime. So you don't need a presentation, you don't need any of that kind of stuff. So also, we're going to, as a part of this class as well as outside, we're going to do 2 site tours per semester. So, and you can sign up for those on Bulls Connect. And so we try to do a Tuesday and a Friday twice a semester. Don't sign up for it the same Tuesday and the same Friday of the same week. But in addition to the tour that we're going to do in this Honors College class. And for those of you that are online that can't see, we're here with about 20 Honors College students, actually about 19 Honors College students, and a professor that's trained as an architect that is focusing on this class, is focusing on the Honors College project. So it's a lot of fun. And so we've got also these online sessions. So we'll do 3 of these with this class. We'll actually do 4 online sessions every semester for the next 3 semesters. So for different topics. This one, we're just giving the broad overview of the 4 projects. Next time, we're going to talk about some of the foundation characteristics, the fact that we've got, 3 radically different projects between all of the 3 projects. We've got the Honors College, we've got a medical clinic, and we've got a practice facility. The structural systems are totally different. The underground situation is totally different. The heights of the building are totally different. The mechanical, electrical systems are totally different. The looks are pretty doggone different too. So it'll be a lot of fun. I think there will be some great conversations and some stuff that most architects and engineers and students don't really see until they're 3 or 4 years out of school. It's going to be a lot of fun. So next time we'll talk about the geotechnical, the underground situation, and the fact that the Honors College is built on a bunch of Swiss cheese. So that'll be a lot of fun. So we've got some other potential opportunities. If you want to take a day and shadow a construction inspector, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the Honors College class. Maybe we can organize some fabrication plants. Paul will talk about that a little bit different. We're probably not going to get you out to Texas or to New York, but there's some plants locally. They're really doing some cool things. We've also got opportunities for research. We've got an open space university. So open space is offered if you've got a group project or a class that wants to utilize their technology. They may be able to donate a camera and the software and actually help you students learn how to use the technology. So we're going to launch our first online poll for this. We'll have about over 15 polls, I think, in this session. And so of all of these different opportunities, which opportunity excites you the most? And let's see. I'm just going to click one and let's see what's happening. All right. A lot of people like the construction tours, 55%. The interactive sessions, so these sessions, 25%. So that helps us going forward. The webcam and the virtual site walks down around 10%. The webcams jumping in. So that's pretty cool. That's great information. So look for that over the next 3 semesters, how you can get engaged, learn, just as you've got some spare time, as you're, instead of watching TV, watch a construction site. It's, some people get their kicks out of that. So, all right, so the 5 speakers we've got, I'm Steve Lafferty, I'm Director of Design and Construction for USF. And the people who have worked with me, I'm going to pass it over to Paul Mullins. He's been here at USF for about 5 years. He's been here for about 5 years. He's trained as an architect, very talented. He's actually the project manager for 2 of the projects here. We've got Brian Laverty, who is also trained as an architect. He's been with USF for about 8 years. 5 years too. Man, just seems like a long time. So Brian has managed little projects like the village and all of those kind of stuff. Doing some neat stuff. He's managing also the football center, and hopefully we'll get to build the College of Pharmacy downtown in the very near future. So that's a lot of fun. So the other two gentlemen I've got with me, and it's kind of interesting that these three guys sit over here in blue shirts, and Harry and I are here in white shirts. We're kind of separate from them. But Harry is trained as an engineer, both a USF grad. Don is a USF grad. Brian is a USF grad. Don Crosby is our mechanical engineer for the university. So basically if anything goes wrong with the air conditioning, no matter which one of the 350 buildings we have on the Tampa campus, or on the St. Pete campus, or Sarasota Manatee campus, or downtown, it's Don's problem. And then he also watches the design as we're going through the design. Harry manages those systems. He's got a bunch of teams of technicians and operators that manage those mechanical systems. So if we find out that Don has to troubleshoot them, chances are that Harry or another one of our engineers broke it. So that's basically it. I'm going to turn it over to Paul Mullins and let him talk about our Honors College. And sorry, people, for your online, but you may hear a little static while I remove the microphone. All right.
Okay, yes, like you said, I'm Paul Mullins, and I am a project manager for design and construction, and I'm the project manager on the Judy Ginshaft Honors College. First off, when we talk about the Honors College, there is the Honors College program, the Judy Ginshaft Honors College. It was founded in 2002. As many of you know, but some that don't, it is comprised of some rather high-achieving USF students, incorporating every major available, and across all three of our campuses. The project itself, the Judy Ginshaft Honors College facility, is to be a home for the Judy Ginshaft Honors College. But beyond that, it's also designed to be a place for a campus venue for all USF students to come and engage, to enjoy, and be a part of what's happening on this side of campus. A third piece, which is key to our programming, is that we also want this to be a place for USF to engage the greater Tampa Bay community. Doing that through lectures, shows, symposia, all sorts of pieces. That way, the Honors College can impart what they're learning, but they can also learn from other things going on in the Tampa Bay community. Poll number 2, what is the Honors College? I don't know if you can sign on and log into these. It goes through a lot of pieces. If you remember early on in 2014, when there was a concept of the Honors College, there was an idea of adding a residence hall to this. You will see residence halls at some honors colleges throughout the country. It was determined that's not what we wanted to do. And we don't want this facility to be inward-looking, monk-like, but instead to be outward-looking. Like the Honors College mission states, you are a global outlook and a global outreach, and that's what we want to do here at USF. So what is the Honors College project? I apologize, it has music. I must. Hopefully, as you see this fly through and as you go through the seminar, start looking at plans, and when you actually get out to the site, we're already seeing the entrances and the gates, even though it's just a bunch of concrete slabs going up. But it's truly exciting to walk through and see what's going on out there. The terrace you saw earlier has already been built. They're working on pulling up our amphitheater space. And our hopes are, or our target is to top out project, which means get all of the structure in place here first week of November. So, whenever we start a project, we always start with the big why. The idea being we need to learn our purpose, our cause, our belief, basically to understand why we want, we need, we desire to do what it is we're going to do. Through that, we come up with our mission statement. A lot of what in determining our big why, we get to these answers by interviews, questionnaires with stakeholders. We have focus groups with students. We even meet with donors. We talk to university leadership. We also look into educational trends and benchmark data of what's going on in higher education to make sure we're hitting what we need to hit here. We also want to come up with what we call our guiding principles. Our guiding principles, again, are culled through these interviews. And what you'll see here, our guiding principles are used as a touch point at all of our at all milestones. It helps us inform how we want to design this building. It helps us understand how our decision process is going to go. And at every turn, if there's a question where we ask, are we going in the right direction? You can turn to your guiding principles and make sure that you're on the right track. Here you'll see our guiding principles on your left are actually manifest themselves to our design elements on the right. We also determine project goals. Here, some of the big pieces, of course, key elements are, we want to create a home for the Honors College. Currently, our Honors College curriculum is housed in the Allen building, very small, and the curriculum itself is dispersed across the campus. We also want to showcase the USF Judy Ginshaft Honors College. That's a big piece for us. We want to become a recruiting tool, not just for the Honors College, but for USF as well. Another one is, again, like we said, engage the USF campus as well as the greater Tampa Bay community. Some of the physical components you'll see, we're at 86,000 gross square feet over 5 floors. 6th floor is our building services. One of the pieces we're doing, one of our goals is, or one of the physical components, USF has a sustainability initiative, but also in our focus groups, the students put sustainability as one of their top goals in the project, and therefore we're designing this project to LEED Silver. Also, there was a desire, the students and the faculty wanted to engage the outdoor spaces. They didn't want to be inside, holed up in a room all the time. and therefore we provide a myriad of outdoor spaces contiguous to the building. Now let's get on with the project. Who comprises the project team? It gets kind of tricky there with all the A's, B's, C's at the bottom here. Well, our project delivery method on this project is A&E plus CM, and we'll, as this seminar goes through the next, I believe it's 3 semesters, you'll see they're going to do a deeper dive into the various project delivery methods and their differences and similarities. For now, let's just touch on it that it's an AE plus CM. Key here is that it's qualifications based, and 2, that there are 2 separate contracts. AE is architect and engineer, and CM contract, the construction management. In this project, as qualifications based, we received 10 submissions on the, from AE teams, and from those 10, we actually selected 5 for interviews. Later, then we had, 12 submissions from the CM, and we selected 4 interviews from there. And with that, we came up with our project team. We selected as our A&E, Morphosis Architects, Pritzker Prize-winning architect Tom Main, out of LA and New York. And they partnered with a local architect, Fleischman Garcia, here in Tampa Bay. And our CM, or construction management firm, we selected Hvac, which is an international design and construction firm with a very talented Tampa Bay office, and their partner Envision Construction Services as a partner in our diverse supplier outreach and engagement with what we would think of as the underrepresented communities. So which of the following is not a project phase? Sorry, I'm not able to engage you guys and answer questions, but as we go through here, the big one is life cycle cost analysis is not a project phase, though you will find later in the seminars how important life cycle cost analysis is to the design of the project. And it ties into our sustainability and our energy conservation. So how did we get here? Design and construction process, you'll see programming, schematic design going all the way through. In our programming, our programming goes through, and like I said earlier, we dive into questionnaires to understand who is going into this building, what do we want to do in this building, what are some amenities and destinations we want to add to the building. We also have to tie into this growth. So through these interviews and these focus groups, and the educational, higher educational trends, we understand the size of classrooms. Honors College is unique with 19 students per classroom, and that was that was the main driver to the size of our classrooms going through. There's also part of programming was the flexibility throughout the space, and that was a major driver that we found out through programming. Getting into that, then we go into schematic design. Key was trying to figure out how do all these different functionalities and operations how do they interact with each other? And as you see that, we start coming through our scopes. On the ground floor is all of our social and I guess public spaces, but then you'll start to see an elegant sort of layout where you have the classrooms and offices on the floors throughout. That way they can engage, along with the student and social spaces. You'll see along what is on the left-hand side of this, or your right-hand side of the screen, is where all of the offices and administrative services are, and the classrooms on the other side. And it works its way all the way up. Like I said earlier, the 6th floor is where all of our building services are kept. Some unique aspects. You saw the atrium in the fly-through. Key is we have these learning lofts, which are off of the main circulation space, and they cantilever into the atrium. They're used as student study spaces, collaboration spaces, and actually spaces where you can wait for your class to turn over, that we don't have to wait in the hallway. But the key piece of this is we also have a structural steel, a tube steel structure that goes around the atrium and connects to the learning lofts themselves, and it's clad in a wood veneer. Some of the challenge, any challenge to a project is cost control and cost projection. In 2016, we were told we could build an honors college, an 80,000 square foot honors college for $40 million, 33.2 million of which would go to construction. 5 years later, we're at 86,000 square feet through our programming. And with escalation, cost escalation and unforeseen conditions, we end up with a $54.5 million project at $43 million in construction. Now, key are some of these cost escalation drivers. Key was materials and labor. We expect we were seeing about a 5 to 7% annual increase in cost on materials and labor. But then what happened? We ended up with a pandemic, and costs and labor shot through the roof. And so that's where you start to see some of these cost escalations. Project schedule, like I said, we have a very good dedicated team. We have a dedicated and donor, a dedicated honors college faculty, along with the project team and university senior leadership. And therefore, we're going to be able to deliver the project in spring of 2023. With that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Ari and Don.
All right, so my name is Harry Patel, and this is my friend Don. Sorry, my name is Harry Patel, and this is my friend Don. We'll just start it off with a poll question right off the bat. What is a chiller? Let's see how many of you actually know about it. Do not see the results. Yeah. All right. Regardless, you'll find out what is a chiller at the you'll know more about a chiller at the end of this presentation. So, what is air conditioning? Air conditioning is basically you're removing heat and humidity out of air and basically supplying cool air to the buildings where people occupy. And how is air conditioning measured? Air conditioning is measured in terms of BTUs or tons, just like any other units, like you measure distance in feet and miles, and same thing in this one. And what is a ton? Well, ton is a measurement of weight. What is it doing in air conditioning? Well, ton is actually a amount of cooling you would provide with a 1 ton block of ice or 24-hour period. That's how they actually came up with a unit as a ton. And it's actually a unit of a rate like miles per hour. It's not actually absolute like how many miles there are. It's actually a rate. So let's go over why is air conditioning important. This is a poll, and I'll transfer it to Don on this one.
Thank you, Hari. All right. Let's do another poll question. All right. Let's do another poll question. Why is air conditioning important? Please enter your responses in the chat. So why is air conditioning important? If you answered A to the poll question, you are right. If you answered B or C or D to the poll question, you are also right. air conditioning is important for all these reasons. The chart on the right has relative humidity on the x-axis and the bad stuff you don't want growing inside of your building on the y-axis. There is a optimum zone in that blue area between 50 and 60% relative humidity that suppresses growing a lot of the bad stuff that you see in red. That's why air conditionings are designed to maintain and operate within that range between 50 and 60% relative humidity. Now, air conditioning systems also bring in fresh air from the outside so that we have oxygen to be able to breathe. Now I have a question for Hari. What's your perspective in terms of scale and size or magnitude of, let's say, the campus air conditioning system versus, let's say, your home air conditioning system?
So I wish this was a little bit more interactive because I could ask you guys all the question. Just a show of your hand, how many of you know what is your home air conditioning looks like? All right, so which one is it on this one? The one to the left, that's the home air conditioning. And basically a typical home air conditioning, let's say, is a 5 tons of air conditioning. Let's put it in terms of Tampa campus, not the whole USF, all the other campuses, just Tampa campus. USF's air conditioning system is so large that it could provide air conditioning to 5,000 to 6,000 homes. Now, do you see 5,000 or 6,000 of these little small units outside? You don't. Why? Because it's actually like this kind of campus air conditioning. It's actually centralized at one place. And why centralized? Just like every walks in life and every industry, when some demand of any commodity or anything becomes so large, you have to, it becomes, and it reaches a critical mass, it becomes much more efficient to centralize that task. Just like farming, not all of us grow our food and everything. Just like a power plant, we don't have generators everywhere. So same thing in the centralized air conditioning system. And let's go to the. By the way, this is a building that was built 6th as soon as the campus was started being built. So that's how important air conditioning is. And just to give you a perspective, what a commercial air conditioning looks like. This is a chiller that the first poll question was, and I made Don pose by it so you guys can get a perspective how large it is. And this one particular chiller is about 2,300 ton units. So it can provide air conditioning to about roughly 600. Now my mathematics is going wrong. About 400 to 500 houses. So that's how big this is. All right, so let's go to the next slide. And I will turn it over to Don on this one.
Okay.
It's a video, so.
Yep. Let's see, I get this going here. All right, so this is really a compilation of aerial photos that were taken in history and time. And I think it's just a really neat way. This was Hari's idea to put this together. And we had Aaron Nichols actually assemble it and do the video, but it's just a really nice way to see how much this campus has grown since 1965. And this video goes all the way up to 2020. You may be able to pick out a few of the buildings as they come up. And in fact, you can see the village showing up on that north side of the campus there and the Publix. So I think that this really does is a good way to represent how much things have changed on this campus. Now, on this map, I've colored the buildings orange and purple and cyan to represent the over 7 million square feet of air conditioning that is supported by the central plants. So we have the orange in the center and the purple in the northwest, which is the health area. and then the cyan, which is the southeast portion of campus. This building, if you can pick it out on this drawing, is served by the central plant, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So these are the central plants that we have on campus that provide the air conditioning to the buildings that I highlighted. The central plant in the center, that's the older plant that Hari mentioned. The northwest plant, which is taking care of all of health there in the purple. And then the southeast chiller plant, that's cyan, that's our newest plant. And we're going to talk about that one in just a little bit.
So by the way, I forgot to answer what is a chiller. Actually, the answer to the poll question was the chiller actually cools down water, because we are not going to be able to cool down air and pump it throughout all the buildings. So what we do is actually cool down water to 45 and 44 degrees, and then pump it through that underground piping that Don had showed. That's underground, miles long underground piping that you guys don't see it. And inside the walls and everything inside the buildings, there's also another miles long piping. So all of this water goes through the building and goes to the air handling units, which in turn cools down the air, and that is pumped through the building. So that's how it's done. And how do we know that we need more air conditioning or not? So that's just an engineering science. When they are designing the buildings, they actually estimate that this building will need this much ton of cooling and everything. But how do we know that we have enough capacity to provide more cooling to this more additional buildings that we're building? Well, we actually monitor it regularly, very, very regularly. This is a graph that shows the air conditioning tonnages. We have instrumentation and the state-of-the-art instrumentation at the Southeast Chiller Plant where it continuously measures. And all these buildings were so close to Southeast Chiller Plant, so it makes sense to provide for air conditioning to that. And as you see that we have 4,600 tons of that, and we have 3 of those chillers. And I will actually, I think I'm taking Don's turn on this one.
That's okay, go ahead. Okay, I'll go. All right, so this is, speaking of that, this is a video that Hari actually took. And this is going back to the Southeast Chiller Plant, as I mentioned. We're taking a tour coming out through the North Mechanical Yard, and now we're entering the main chiller plant. This is chiller number 1. We're looking at if I can pause it, but I wanted to point out to you the silver piping that goes down into the ground. That represents 24-inch diameter chilled water and supply water pipe. This is chiller number 2 that we're looking at in bay number 2. This is chiller number 3 in bay number 3. And I like to point out the electrical power distribution. And then here we have 2 spare bays that are designated for future expansion. This is a cutaway of the Southeast Chiller Plant. And you see the same 3 chillers that we just saw in the video, but I wanted to point out that the cooling towers are up on the top level. The project that we're addressing here today is the addition to this chiller plant. So we're showing the addition of another 2,300 ton chiller number 4, with its cooling towers and pumps. And this is the schedule for that project. And what we had to do was we had to procure all of the long lead major equipment, which are the chillers and the cooling towers, ahead of time. But we did that to assure that we would have the equipment on time so that we could finish the project on time. And construction has started and will be complete in time. Paul, he always wants to know, is this going to be completed in time? And so does Brian, to support the new buildings that are coming online. So yes, they are. The floor is yours, Paul.
With this, we'll turn it over back to Paul for his second part.
go. And I'm back to talk to the Student Wellness Center. You saw earlier in Steve's slide that kind of crazy construction aerial where we have the Honors College. Right across Ganshaft Drive is this USF Student Wellness Center. And yes, we do need to have our chiller number 4 in place so we can open all 3 of our buildings. So what is the Student Wellness Center? I know it could be a misnomer. Anything coming up, Steve? Okay. Well, this is the Student Wellness Center. What you'll see is, I hope these are going to start changing. There we go. It is the new home for the Student Health Services Facility, along with some wellness aspects. We're looking to add an outdoor plaza with a water feature for calming, a calming introduction. Entering the building, you'll see an open and welcoming idea of glazing with some sun shading. Going through, you'll see also these rather large overhangs to allow for functionality outside of the building. A separate entry for urgent care off of the parking lot. And also a bay for emergency vehicles, for emergency transport. Coming into the front of the building, we have a rather elegant entry concierge desk. And then all of our services are down the main corridor along that window wall. We even have a point-of-care pharmacy coming in here, in addition to the one at MSC. Around the corner, another waiting area, because back behind there are the ancillary services for immunizations and non-clinical administration. We also have provided a multipurpose room for student engagement, and this is their room. Going upstairs, every floor will have its own check-in desk to provide privacy and security. Openness along the waiting area of the window wall, and back through the private area is where you have all of your clinical spaces and office behind. Even have an interconnecting stair there at the bottom in case you don't want to take an elevator. Again, start with the big why. What is the purpose? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we building this? Well, in doing so, we had, or prior to that, we had 3 days of workshops with students, students, staff, clinicians, and providers. Went through all of that and came up with ideas of what this needs to be, already knowing some of the other aspects. And again, we come up with a project mission. Mission statement is key. As I talked earlier, the guiding principles are also key. What we saw is a lot of our ideas and desires started to self-select into the 5 guiding principles in the middle. And these guiding principles then are again, manifest themselves in the design elements along the side of or along the outside of our screen, including flexibility. We needed the increase of space. Right now you have 13,000 square feet. The ACHA says you need 1 square foot per student. So we're grossly undersized here at USF. Our project goals, like I said, to meet the ACHA recommendation. One of the other ones is to provide a welcoming and inviting facility. That way it's less, a place because you're sick, but a place to get well. It's not something that you need to be ashamed to go to get help. It's a place where you want to go and know about wellness, engage wellness, and take control of your own health. Physical components. We're at 50,000 gross square feet over 3 floors with a 4th floor for building services. Again, student initiatives, student desires, a student requirement for sustainability, LEED Silver. And another piece, again, student government asked us asked us to provide this student multipurpose room. Who is on a design build team? You'll understand when I ask design build team with this next piece. Because this is a different project delivery method. The other one was an AE plus CM or CM at risk. This is design build, very similar in that it is a qualifications-based selection process. But the difference is your architect engineer and your construction manager form a partnership at the beginning, and they form their own team. In this project, we received 14 submissions from these design build teams. And from those 14, we did 5 interviews. And from there, we came up with our project team. Our AE, our architect engineering component, is Canon Design. Key here also to understand is all of the 5 interviewees had some strong healthcare design experience, but we saw that Canon Design, with their office out of Washington, D.C., and Houston, Texas, their 2 studios there, they had a very strong portfolio in actual collegiate student health and wellness facilities, as opposed to just dock in the box and clinics out there. Our CM side, we had Bar and Bar and their partner Horace. They also had a very strong experience in healthcare design, but key to that also is they have, with Horace as a partner, they have a very strong track record, again, in partnering with our diverse stakeholders in the Tampa Bay community. This was a question we asked in our focus groups. Have you ever been to the USF Student Health Services building? Do you mind raising your hand if you have? That's more than anyone ever did in our focus groups. There were people that said they hadn't been there ever and didn't even know where it was. About 40%. So one of our student government representatives said they didn't even know where it was until their 4th year because it was tucked away. So how did we get here? We went through the same focus groups. Like I said, the workshops, meeting with student government. And again, using our design and construction phases, programming, schematic design, and design development, we moved through it, again, with, like I said, engaging the stakeholders to find out what we needed to put in this building. A big piece is we had to move all of our student health services over to this building, but also some ancillary and lease spaces. The other piece is how much of those, or how big are these spaces, and how many of them do we need to build into this project? And that's where the data comes in. This is just one of the many data pieces that we did through this building, or in our program, to determine growth, looking at white papers, looking at, again, collegiate healthcare and wellness trends. The idea being how is USF housing going to grow on campus and campus adjacent apartments around the community, because those are your top visitors to student health. From there, we looked at our adjacencies. After figuring out the sizes of these different services, you start to see who needs to be next to whom, how are they going to support it. Originally, after 3 of these meetings, we laughed and said, everyone wants to be on the first floor, so we'd have 50,000 square feet on one floor. That's, of course, untenable. So we started looking at how we can select and sort through them. And that's where you start to see, again, a rather sophisticated and elegant plan that provides an ease of access through the building. On the ground floor, there's the public spaces along the front, along that window wall. And then a lot of these smaller ancillary departments around there that are one-stop shop, as in your labs, your immunization, your billing, even the pharmacy. But we also need to put on the first floor our urgent care, like we said, so you can have easy access to that. As you move up through the building, again, you have your departments, and one of the pieces we looked at was standardizing the exam room sizes and the office sizes. That way it allows the flexibility, because one of the things the USF doesn't do is build for today or tomorrow. We build for 20 to 30 years from now. As good stewards of your funding, we want to make sure we don't build something that is no longer useful 5 years, 10 years down the road. Going all the way up, and then this, as you come through here, this actually is Gen Med in green, and the administrative services, and then building services on the 4th floor. Key, how did COVID-19 influence the building design? We were in the middle of design development when COVID hit, and it really did make us rethink, how does USF Student Services interact with students? How do they engage students? And how do we keep our students safe? So what we did, unique aspects, is, and this is with the help of Don back there, our urgent care is 100% return air is exhausted. That way it's not brought back into the facility. We added a negative pressure exam room to maintain the pressure, or maintain the air in that room, and then it's also exhausted out. And we also, throughout the building, increased the MER filter rating across the building to make sure we're getting some really good clean air throughout. Another unique aspect is this building is entirely funded by students. Back in 2014, there was a feasibility study as to how to co-locate a lot of these wellness activities into an area. That way students don't have to run around campus to different areas or different locations. And around 2016, USF student government started banking these student funds for us to use into this building. As you go through, you'll see they literally took control of this initiative to make sure that student wellness and student health is a primary aspect of USF. This fall, we'll receive the last disbursement of that. The total project comes in at $27.4 million. Challenges is being a welcoming, open facility, but also making sure, maintaining the privacy of the students that come to this place. And so what we've done is, the ground floor, like we said, is open with the concierge, check in through your Epic kiosks, and also engage some of these one-stop destinations. But when you go up, you can check in. There's the public area is along the, like we said, the window wall, which overlooks that really nice plaza to give a calming sort of open aspect. But then there's a very subtle data line, as you can see here, data line wall, that maintains the privacy and security of everyone going back to engage or to be a part of the clinical services. Project schedule. It's a little fuzzy over here, but we are on time to deliver the project for full occupancy in December 2022. That way it'll be fully operational for the students in your spring semester of 23. And now the last one. Hopefully we'll beat the 47%. And with that, I'm going to let Brian talk about football.
Hello, I'm Brian Laverty. I'm project manager, USF grad. My project I'm working on is the athletics indoor performance facility. And I'm going to start off with a poll question. Wait, I'm going to start off with this slide. This facility is incorporated into the campus master plan in the athletics district. You have the Leroy Salmon Center existing, the Corbett Soccer Stadium. You have the track and field, in the football complex, and this project will take over the existing turf, artificial turf field. So what is the big why? Why is the indoor practice facility important for intercollegiate athletics? I'm going to go over the project history. So the football program began in the 1990s. With their success, they built the Leroy Selman Athletic Center. And in the USF Athletics completed one of the largest intercollegiate athletic construction programs in history, which included that entire district, what we have now, the soccer stadium, basketball center, Sun Dome, and baseball, softball renovations. About 2014, athletics decided the need for a football center was a demand that they needed to meet to, I'll say, keep up with other NCAA programs. 2018, I guess football won their 150th game, and so funding this football center, also creating this football center takes football program out of the athletic center, the Leroy Selman Center, and it allows the Olympic athletics to grow into that space. The project delivery method here is, this is the basic breakdown. It's an AECM at risk, 2 contracts. You have the architect, the owner contracts with the architect, construction manager, just about around the same time, and it allows to have those 2 entities work towards the common goal. You get to verify your pricing and your pricing of your design that your architect is doing, and the architect helps inform the construction manager on the nice designs, that the intent of the architect. Under the architect, there's several consulting engineers. Just like under the construction manager, there'll be several subcontractors, all related to their own trades. The project team for USF for this is, the owner is USF Athletics, or the client. The owner representation is our office, design and construction. The architect that was hired is HOK Kansas City. They focus on sports, NCAA, and professional arenas. The construction manager is R.R. Simmons, whose experiences a few collegiate facilities, one being our baseball center, Corbett Stadium, and our Leroy Selman Center, as well as the Muma Basketball Center. So these were, and underneath each of these, the architect has his consultant engineers, and the construction manager will have their list of subcontractors. The program for football consisted of 2 elements: a football operations center, which has locker rooms, offices, meeting rooms for the players, strength and conditioning rooms, and even the potential for food service, all within that one segment. The other segment is the indoor practice field, which is a covered structure, a field that's covered. It provides safety, and in our summers, storms come up the last minute, and lightning is an issue, heat is an issue. So this allows us to provide a safe environment for training and practices. So initially what you're looking at is the athletic district again. On the left is you can see the Leroy Salmon Center as it is today, with the football fields. There's down to the left is the soccer practice field, and even further is the rec basketball, parking lot 6. And when this started in 2018, taking the concept that the campus, we always want to compact our designs. So the design was to place it next to the Leroy Salmon Center, and we came up with this design, and that was all great. The impacts of this design, we had some problems with access for emergency vehicles, modification of parking lot 6, removal of the rec basketball courts. So there was a lot of issues with that, but we also got a new administration and a new football coach. And so in 2020, January of 2020, an entire revisioning of what this could be came about. And so if you see the image on the left, that building to the north of the Leroy Salmon Center is no longer there. And the plan is now, it's still 2 components. There's an indoor practice facility and a football operations center. This is a view of the football operations center, and then the indoor practice facility to the left. This is a conceptual, early conceptual drawing. It will not look like that at the end, but that gives you the idea of the shift that happened in the evolution of this project. So now we're in 2021. We're going to construct the indoor practice facility. The image on the left is a view down Sycamore, and the image on the right is the view in the interior. And what you see on the interior is what you notice is there's overhead roll doors. There's 4 of them. There's graphics around the inside, and there's a roof over the activity, the training. So this is pretty much what you're going to see. We break ground in October. This is the exterior view, southeast view, and southwest view. The view on the right is Sycamore view, and it's a view of the small lobby. We're working on graphics and branding for this right now, but that small lobby where the coaches will have press conferences and so forth, and meetings and introduction of recruits to this facility. So what functions drive the shape of this building? And all of them, except for C, this building can't take, if they were to provide a structure that would allow for a kicked football, a punted football, it would be twice as high and cost probably 4 times as much money. So you only get the regulation field. You can throw the ball and you kick field goals, but you can't punt. So some unique attributes here. We have a long span structure to accommodate the field. The height is 65 feet. That accommodates the field goal kicking. There's natural light. We got polycarbonate panels that rim the entire building. And one of the reasons is that helps energy efficiency. We don't have to use the lights. This is also a LEED silver building. The interior, exterior accessibility through the overhead roll doors. And another unique aspect of this building is the HVAC units. These type of buildings have specialized air rotation units, and they're essentially mixing the air and rotating that air, and it's the most efficient way to cool a large span structure like this. And that helps us with our energy management and meeting the LEED requirements. So the challenges are meeting the LEED requirements because this is an atypical design. It's not an office building. It's not a house. It's not a residence. It's a giant warehouse. And we went through a lot of iterations on the wall design, the roof design, and the mechanical design in order to meet this LEED status. Now the challenge is daylight versus heat gain. As you let more light in, you have heat gain. So you have to cool that, which reduces your efficiency. So there is a balance between that. Site selection, we had to, by going to this site, every site selection has a utility component, but we have to be able to tie into our chilled water system, our electrical, and our water. So that was one of the challenges here. And energy life cycle versus upfront cost, another challenge for this project. It was easier to do different delivery methods for the HVAC, for the air conditioning. It might have been easier and less cost upfront, but in the long term, over our long period of the life cycle of the building, it paid back in dividends to pay for the more expensive connection and equipment upfront. So we look at projects long term on this campus. I'm going to end with a non-architectural question. Does anybody know the answer? C. So now, are there questions and answers? Do you have answers? It's a lot of information.
So we've got about 7 minutes for question and answers. I know this was more lecture than the Honors College usually does, but we're really just giving you a lot of information, throwing a lot of information at you very quickly. And so what questions do you have? I know you guys are inquisitive people. Yes, sir.
Project guiding principles and some features in the building. How do we actually create that mapping, or how do we come about features looking at project guiding principles?
That's an excellent question. So his question was on the Honors College, we had the guiding principles on the left, and then how does that really manifest itself in the building? Paul, you want to answer that?
Wish I could go back to the slide, but what you'll see, the concept of flexibility, that meant that our classrooms need to be open. We didn't put, we don't have AV access through the floor like we do here. The curriculum required, and the faculty, it's literally said, if I see a lectern, I'm going to throw it out. Another piece is there was the desire to maintain these small interactions. Currently, when you're walking down the hall, they're so small and tight, you run into fellow students, you run into faculty, you run into your advisor. And on a much larger building, we didn't want to lose that. And so that's why you saw these learning loss, where if you see a faculty member that you want to, oh, by the way, I had a question for you, you can just duck into a loft. What are some other ideas? Oh, Sustainability. Again, that was a key piece for one of our key guiding principles. And what we did is we went to a LEED Silver. Does that answer some of the question? Any more? What do you got?
Just to kind of build on that. So, LEED Silver stands for leadership in
Sorry.
environmental design. You mentioned that LEED Silver stands for leadership in energy and environmental design. How might, what does being LEED Silver entail in terms of the construction of the project?
You want to talk to that one?
Good question. And I will say it's got the myriad of answers. We're actually doing a session on that probably in the third semester where we will dig deeply. There's a number of different certification methods for green buildings. There's the Green Building Coalition, there's Green Globes, there's LEED. LEED is the more popular, more industry prevalent option, or what you call it. Yeah.
One of the things we did for poly dorm renovations, instead of LEED, we went with gold. What gold was? Sorry, green loan.
Yeah.
LEED is USGBC out of DC. That's the more popular.
Yeah, LEED is the more popular solution for certifying green buildings. They've got a variety of criteria, and it's a point system whereby you get certified, silver, gold, and platinum. USF has, and basically the industry said that silver is the most economical. You get the biggest bang for the buck with that level. And there's a number of factors that you look at. You look at the energy efficiency, you look at the carbon footprint, you look at how it is sited. Is it in a walkable community? And we will dig that in, not only in this honors class, we've got a session on that, but also in this, the online sessions. So more to come on that. Yes.
Beyond design, our construction partners are part of it, and we actually record all of the recycling and split it out. Concrete is in one. When our furniture arrives, we have to break down the boxes and recycle those in a certain area. So it's not just design, but it's actually how we build it as well.
An example of that, when we renovated the Sundome or the Yingling Center, we actually recycled about 85% of what was taken out of that building, whether it was the chairs, the concrete, or everything, rather than sending it to a landfill. We did have one question online. We didn't mention it, but do you have to be an honors college student to participate in this program? And I'm presuming you're talking about the AEC experience program, and no, you don't. We're trying to gear it towards architecture, engineering students, regardless of the discipline, and the honors college students, but no, we will open it up to any USF student or Hillsborough County Community College or St. Petersburg College. They're actually participating in this too. So this is kind of a Tampa Bay outreach, not just a USF thing, which is really kind of cool, I think. What other questions you got? Yes, sir.
How much are the chiller units?
How much are the chiller units? What day is it? So it's interesting. It's if I remember right, it's about $3 million.
So the chiller unit replacement, it's the unit itself, it depends $500,000 to $1 million, and install cost is will run about, well, it used to be 1.6, now it's about 1.9 million. So that's how much it costs for that size of unit. That's 2,300 tons. If you go bigger size, it's going to be even more expensive. So
yeah, sorry, I was thinking about the whole project.
Project is, yes.
The cooling towers. Yeah, a bunch of pumps, a bunch of cooling towers, a bunch of chillers, all that kind of engineering stuff that makes us feel happy and cool.
Congratulate USF's USF leadership in that when they installed the first 2,300 ton chillers, they knew that we were going to grow, and they already built the 2 additional bays. So we have the 5 bays in place. On this one, we get to save money by just putting the chiller in and the tower on top.
Okay, are there any other questions online? How about back in the back row? You guys are being awful quiet today. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so the question was on the Student Wellness Center, what kind of drove the shape of the exterior? Pass it to Paul again.
Originally, we wanted to have the front of the building along Sesam's Mall. And so it was more of a square form that had access off of that right in front of the rec center. With a new administration, and they had a desire to screen the Southeast Chiller infrastructure. Some of us like infrastructure, some don't. I like infrastructure as well. So we reoriented the building to make it long ways with the front along Ginshaft. There were a couple of ideas. Is we needed to enter through the center. Again, it was the adjacencies piece and the programming of the various, like you said, all these little different divisions and departments on the first floor as destinations. We couldn't compact them and put them behind the secure and safe area. We had to put them on a public area. And then the other piece is there's a desire to, here at USF, to sort of move towards a vernacular architectural style. And our president at the time asked us to look at some of the other new buildings, namely ISA and the Marshall Student Center, which have those curves, which are really nice and intriguing in this new, I guess, new era of construction. Does that answer your question?
I think there was also, and I know we're running 2 minutes over, so I know we'll go. There was also a desire for it to be a very welcoming building. And so the thought of it kind of reaching out towards Ginshaft Drive and reaching out towards the student was a little bit gentler and kinder, if you will, than just having a big square stuck in the middle of that area. Yes. Okay, the question was, we're building flexibility into the new building, but what's going to happen to the old SHS building? Good question, and that's why you saw Paul running away from the microphone at that one. We don't know. There's been a lot of people wanting that space. We don't know what's going to go in there. Not yet. We're still about a year away, so we'll probably get some direction in the pretty near future. Okay, any other questions? Paul, do you want to check the chat on there one last time, see if we've got anything online? Double click on the box in the bottom right. Yeah, click on that. Oh, it disappeared. Maybe it's a single click. Oh well. Okay. Yes, ma'am. I will send out a link. I'll put it in the meeting. I'll also post it on the Bulls Connect. We just went live with the website today, where actually in the design and construction website, we added a web page for the AEC experience. We'll have a link there, but we'll make sure you guys get a link to it also. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Roberto Bantique has his hand up.
All right, Roberto. Rupert. Yeah, I don't know if we can hear you. but
Yeah, I can
maybe
hear
you can type something for us.
Can you hear me?
Got to go, class at 5. Thanks, Robert Hudson. Nice to see you, Bob.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Take the quiz, Bob. You'll enjoy it.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Sorry, Ruben, we were unable to get you. I don't know that we have live here. All right. Anything else? Thank you all very much for being the first class in our AEC experience, Architect, Engineering, and Contractors experience. It's going to be an awesome thing. Thanks again.